Hello everyone, welcome to Trade. Today we're just going to talk about the CPR indicator. It's nothing but the central pivot range. So talking about the pivots and how we can use it for intraday trading. It works pretty well in Banknifty, Nifty, all the indices and most of the stocks. It works where there's a lot of liquidity at volume, but the indices, it does work well. What you see on the chart is the 15-minute chart of Banknifty. Now just to talk about what is CPR is, see this is tomorrow's CPR. This is how it will look, where you will have R3, R2, R1, the pivots, the center three lines are the top CPR pivot and the bottom CPR line. Then you have the S1, S2. Now, how to add this indicator? You just go to indicators, type in CPR. You will find many you can use. Obviously, the one that I'm using is only for, like, it's not public. You won't find it on TradingView, but there are so many free indicators that you can use. Right now, this will be the CPR R1, R2, R3 pivots and S1, S2 and S3 on the downside. Now what the CPR gives us is the range in which the market can trade in. It doesn't give us a buy signal. See, the CPR, unlike the other indicators, right? Like now say you think about RSI, stochastic, MACD, you see there'll be a sell signal from an overbought condition, buy signal. So that type of signal we don't get. We just get these pivots from where the market can take some kind of a support or resistance, or from where the range in which the market will be traded in. Now, if you want details on how to trade the CPR, there's a detailed video on my channel. You just open my channel. You should find this old video, CPR logic for intraday and reversal, the 4 reversal logic. There are 4 logics on which we can trade with the CPR, and it works beautifully. Now, just to do some backtesting and see from past couple of days how the CPR could have helped anyone, along with the price action. See, the price action is the most paramount thing. That is PA. Price action is the most paramount thing. Nothing can beat it. No indicator can beat trading based on price action. But some pivots and some resistance lines like this will help us. Right now, this is an example for Friday. Just doing some backtesting on the CPR. See, we had a white CPR which kind of indicated that it will be a kind of a sideways day. A narrow CPR is when we will have a little bit of a trending day. Narrow means this, the central 3 lines is narrow, this is wide. So our view was, yes, we might be sideways, and see, the moment we open, okay, initially it did look like we are kind of rejecting the CPR and going down, but after the second candle there was no follow through. In this candle, right, in green candle, a lot of people would have got, okay, if somebody had entered right at the bottom and caught this one candle intraday scalping, fine, well and good, no problem about that. But after this candle, seeing like an engulfing candle or so, if I can just put this off, see, after this candle, a lot of the people who don't use a lot of the data to before trying to enter or trying to trade, right, would have got confused that this is a nice bullish candle, engulfing candle, it's a nice entry, right? Even if you had entered here, call or whatever, put selling, call in whatever instrument, in whatever kind of the variation that you trade, either you're an option buyer or seller. After that, the market didn't break this level itself, right? Now, if somebody who doesn't know about CPR, they would have even kept half of this as stop loss and gone long. Definitely the stop loss would have been hit, right? So now with the CPR, if we check, see, and using CPR, now based on all the logics that is there here, if the CPR had, even if the CPR had broken out, yes, even we would have entered with R1 as the target. There was also another resistance over here. This level were very close to R1. So if the CPR level had broken on a 15-minute, if a candle had closed above this, yes, definitely we could have entered with the CPR level as a stop loss. And see the beauty of this CPR level, right? And this is just based on a formula. It's not like I have put the formula. The formula is there on Google. Anyone can go and check CPR formula, or you will get all the formulas. So it's based on the previous day high and close formula, right? So these pivots, what is plotted, not even a wick, just the wick went up, right? Not one candle closed. We were consolidating over here, and from exactly from here we reversed. Now it's not necessary that, let me take this highlighter. See, it's not necessary that if this is rejecting, the CPR rejecting, we should take a short trade here. But what could have been prevented on this day because of CPR, right? That is not going long unless the CPR is broken. So if we had maintained that, yes, there would not been a trade for an option buyer, probably an option seller. If we had sold call here, 200 call, yes, we could have definitely made money. But for option buyer, yes, there was no chance. But at least taking a false entry after this candle could have been prevented. Even though this such a big green candle came on Friday, but going long could have been prevented if we had used this, if anybody follows the CPR levels. And then obviously some scalping could have been done here. And now just looking at an example for Thursday, last week Thursday, see what happened. We got this nice green candle, CPR broke out on the 15-minute, we went higher, we went to R1, R2. Now whether you want to book profits at R1, R2, all that depends on price action, right? You should know what type of candlestick pattern and stuff. So obviously in the description there is a link where you can learn the complete price action and all the other things. If somebody is interested, the link will be there in the description. But yeah, it all depends on the price action. Now just because we closed above the CPR, we cannot go long. If we had, this was a nice bullish candle, green candle closed above, a lot of put writing also was there on this day, so going long made sense. And R1, R2. Now most importantly, now see, if somebody is new to CPR, right, they see the CPR breaking out, they enter, they get R1 and they're in R2, they're in profits. Right now, this is where a mix of price action and this pivot will help us in our trading. Now, I'm just going to show you an example why. Let me just put up this CPR level. Now, what is this mix of price action is? Now, definitely we were taking some resistance at R2, exactly pinpoint, right? Now, if I just zoom out, there was a beautiful gap over here on this day when we gapped down. So exactly we filled the gap, started taking resistance, and that should have been our first target. Whenever there's a gap fill, there will be some reversal. That's what we teach even in our learning material. Now exactly pinpoint, it just touched this R2 and started falling on the downside. So this is how the CPR will help us right now. If somebody had entered over here or anywhere and kept target as R1, R1 broke, now R2 also hit, there's a gap fill, definitely this was a very good exit. Now if somebody was not using the CPR, yes, they would have thought a little more breakout would come, but then what happened? A complete sell-off. Again here, once the CPR broke on the downside, all the logics are there on this video. If anybody is interested, they can go and watch this video. I'll put this video description in the link below as well. And then we got an exact sell-off until S3. Now if somebody was even capturing this down move on a 15-minute or 5-minute, you see S1 being hit, you see S2 being achieved, then you see S3 and it is 315. If you're on good profits, that's it. Don't expect, see so according to me, right, like based on my personal experience, I don't, unless we have a very high VIX and some news based event is surrounding our market, like some election result or something to do with this war, some geopolitical news or our budget, right, unless some news is associated with the market, I don't see R3 and S3 breaking on a daily basis, on a regular day. See, now days like this are just a simple regular trading days without any sort of a major news, and I don't see S3 and R3 breaking out or breaking down that easily. So anytime, most of the time, the market will remain between this R2 level and S2 level. Breaking out of these two levels is something that happens rarely, and yes, sometimes yes, we get this type of extended moves. Now coming to on Wednesday 7th, right, on Wednesday June 7th, an example over here. See, there was a beautiful dip, though we got this nice red candle and we started slipping based on the CPR logic that, and these are not logics made by me, it is just a general trading logics that is available, which I've just made a video. So the moment this R1 broke, there was a good entry, and exactly it came, tested the CPR level and then bounced. Either we could have traded this down move based on the CPR logic, or this was making like this type of a double bottom, we could have traded this up move based on the CPR logic. And see the beauty now, if somebody was not using the CPR level, right, they would have easily expected this down move to continue at least until this next support over here. You would have seen a lot of people mentioning that we could see a breakdown until here, right? Even if you see some of the live trades, no offense, I have nothing against anybody doing any live trade, but if you see some of these live trades, right, because people keep reaching out to me saying that they gave such and such target, it didn't work. So that's when I reply to them by saying, try and use this CPI level. Now, when this big down move, like big candles were moving on the downside, definitely people would have kept a target as this low, right? This blue line that I marked as the next support, and the market will fall until here. But what happened on this day? Okay, it came exactly, tested the CPR, and so our view should have been, if somebody had short here, book profit here and wait until the CPR breaks on the downside and then re-enter. Over here, in this case, we reversed on the upside. So just saying few more examples for CPR. This is on Tuesday. See, again, from the CPI level broke down, the market came down until S1. From S1, it again reversed back, right? So how the thought process should be, right, using the CPR is, okay, now say for some reason you caught this down move. Now, unless this S1 breaks, you see this type of a nice, it's like a morning star pattern, a neutral, a doji pattern. Obviously, the price action depends, right? Whether your entry, exit depends on the price action. Now, just see the difference between this price action over here. Yes, whenever we wait, sometimes our profits reduce. But yes, in trading, it's all about capturing as much as possible, not the complete move. That should not be our aim. If Banknifty is moving from 44,000 to 44,200, our aim should not be to capture 100% of this move. Even if we capture 60% of this move, it is more than enough. One can be a very good trader. Now just see the price action over here. Now here also we were breaking these pivots, but we were literally making this red candle and breaking. So you know it is kind of bearish and you can hold on to your short trade, right? Over here, you make this doji candle, then you see this type of a green, the overall pattern looks like a morning star. So that's when you know it's time to exit and re-enter if the pivot breaks. And the best part of the CPR is you can even use it to place stop loss, obviously not in the system. Now if somebody shorted here, the CPR level would have been the stop loss. If somebody decided to go long here, like buy, thinking it will reverse back, the CPR S1 will be the stop loss. Meaning if any candle closes below S1, you'll have to close the trade. And these are the huge gap up days. Though this is not an easy day to trade. Whenever you have a huge gap up, and when the market itself opens above R1, again the move continuously on the upside doesn't come on a normal day, right? It's only when there is some sort of a very good positive news or a very bad negative news. So whenever we get this huge gap up above R1, most likely we will be this way, right? Obviously, if R1 had broken out and sustained, we would have hit R3. And this is one nice example to take stop loss, how your stop loss would have been hit. And no strategy or no indicator works 100% of the time, and nobody can predict the market exactly how it moves 100% of the time for the next day, right? It's all a game of probability. We do our analysis, and if things go according to our analysis, we take a trade. Otherwise, we avoid. One should be avoiding and waiting for a good setup. Now over here, definitely, even if I would have traded, I would have taken a long trade over here after this candle, nice strong candle closing above R1 with all these wicks. We are getting a close, and there was a follow-up candle. Immediately this red candle came. Whatever your position sizing is, obviously one will take position sizing based on their capital, right? If somebody is trading with 1 lakh, you're not going to put entire 1 lakh in a trade. You're going to put 10,000, 20,000, depending on your how much ever you can risk, right? In options, whenever you're buying options, keep in mind, always put so much money that you're ready to lose. Now, if you have 1 lakh, I'm just giving an example for 1 lakh. If it is 10 lakhs, obviously it depends on the capital. If somebody is trading with 1 lakh, you can maximum put about 15 1000 in option buying, because if worst case scenario it reverses and whatever you bought premium at 100 rupees, some news based move comes and this becomes 50, if you lose in that 10,000 you lose 5,000, definitely on another day, on a good day, you can recover and make more than that. But if you put 1 lakh and it becomes 50, if you don't have a tight stop loss, losing half of your capital is not something that should happen. That is not how option trading is meant to be done. So definitely yes, on this day there was a false breakout kind of a thing, and if on this we shouldn't have waited more. The moment we see this type of a strong candle, we should have closed that trade. So when you do some back testing like this with CPR, you see a lot of times where the CPR level has worked. See, again over here on this day was a little confusing day where we thought it'll break out, break down, nothing happened. For most part of the day we were kind of this sideways range. The moment we saw this type of a big candle, right, yes, we could have attempted a trade with the CPR as stop loss, and we got a good move until S1. See, over here most of the move came in the first candle itself, but obviously there are other things like retracement to 20 MA and all that. There was a beautiful retracement on this day, I remember, because we were able to trade only after this move. When this breakdown was happening, we traded until S3 and kind of stopped for the day, because I don't trade on for intraday basis. I don't look to trade if the market is below S3 or above R3. I personally, based on my experience, I feel it is too overextended and will not want to attempt to trade. And again over here we gapped up above R1 and we didn't get a follow through, just remained sideways. Just the same kind of an example that we saw the same kind of an example that we saw over here, right? See, we gapped up above R1 and then we were stuck in this range, didn't do much. Gapped up above R1. When we get a huge gap up like this, that's when we'll have to be a little careful. Now this is another day where your stop loss would have been hit. Obviously a nice momentum came. See, even if in the first 15-minute candle looked pretty strong, we were not able to enter. But yes, based on coupling this with price action, we would have not entered because this trend line was there and this trend line didn't break out, right? And again over here the breakout came later in the evening. We could have taken a scalp entry until R1. So this was a possible trade on this day. But based on CPR, if you had entered, yes, your stop loss would have over here, your stop loss would have hit on this candle. And even in this type of a breakout, if you had entered immediately red candle closing below CPR, stop loss would have hit. So this was a pretty choppy day. There's nothing we can do about it. And this is another beautiful day, right? Days like this is why I still strongly follow CPR. We were hovering in this range. We were not breaking the CPR on the downside. The moment this type of triangle broke out and we broke out above the CPR, the target was R1. Once R1 broke, R2. Even if you capture the CPR to R1, intraday trading, more than enough, according to me. Obviously one entry, exit and the choice depends on them. And depends a lot on the price action. If somebody wants to learn the detailed price action, you can just check the description below. There is a video. There is a set of videos put together like a complete structured way of learning. And people have learned a lot from that, including options and futures and options and CPR and the price action. See, on this day, if somebody was long, right? If somebody was long, the moment you saw this rejection coming at the CPR, we could have exited, right? And exactly from there. Now, if somebody other than CPR, if they had gone long here, definitely they would have kept a target at least until here, saying this swing the next target is over here. But no strong candle closed probably above the CPR, and exactly from here we reversed on the downside. Though a lot of other factors depends on the point of reversal, how to decide the point of reversal based on open interest and based on the open interest and the price action. But this just to give an overall view of how the CPR is and how it helps us. See, I would prefer whenever we see this type of a wide CPR, right, is don't go into option buying, do option selling, but it'll most likely it'll be stuck in a range. And if we get a huge gap up above R1, if we get this type of a narrow CPR and open, okay, if the next day CPR is a narrow CPR, and if we open somewhere close to CPR or in between R1 and CPR, S1 and CPR, most likely we will have a nice trending day, right? All those details are there in this video. Just about what is there in that video that I'm telling down, these are the things, these are all the topics that is covered. So if anybody is interested, they can go and check it out. It's in a very structured and manner and very neatly understandable. See, whenever we get this type of a wide CPR, most likely we will remain sideways. So whenever you see this type of a narrow CPR and we get a flat opening, that's when we will have this type of a nice swing, either up and down or only one way on the upside. See, another beautiful example where if somebody was short intraday basis, right, from whatever after this, now say there was no CPR for now, somebody was not using CPR indicator, and if you were short, just 2 candles came on the downside, definitely we would have placed a target over here. But what happened, kind of this W pattern or this whatever we call the W pattern came exactly at this CPR level. On the 15-minute candle, the CPR didn't break, and then we had a bounce on the upside. So this video is just all about saying why using CPR and learning how to trade based on CPR will help us for both option sellers and option buyers, and it's a beautiful indicator. Now see, on this day we were rejecting the CPR multiple times, we were not able to break out, and then the breakdown came on the downside. So if somebody is into intraday trading and if they have some sort of difficulty in finding the intraday levels, the CPR level is the CPR pivots is something they can use and do some backtesting. Now before learning anything, if somebody is new to CPR because of this video, if they're getting to know CPR for the first time, do some backtesting. See a lot of videos that is there on YouTube for CPR. I have a couple of videos, and I have a series of videos on on my playlist whether the CPR worked or not, the CPR trade review. Like, I have many videos over here. You can see on the left hand side the playlist. We almost tracked the CPR for an entire month, and I might be doing that again soon. So this way, just do some backtesting and then try and use CPR. It will definitely help you and change the way you do day trading. Thank you.